The observation deck of the Zarkoth nursery station hummed with tension as Kira pressed her palm against the reinforced glass. Behind it, 3 juvenile Ashkari, apex predators from the volcanic world of Krestar, huddled in the corner of their habitat, their obsidian scales dulled from malnutrition, their 6 eyes half-closed in weakness. 18 cycles, Varen said, his mandibles clicking in frustration. The Zarkoth station master was a towering insectoid, his chitinous frame reflecting the dim emergency lighting. 18 cycles since they've touched their nutrient dispensers. The Veterinary Council has tried everything: live prey simulations, pheromone adjustments, even quantum-tuned feeding schedules. Nothing. Kira studied the cubs through the glass. They were barely 3 months old, rescued from a dying star system before their homeworld collapsed into its sun. The last of their kind, perhaps. In the galactic community's effort to preserve endangered species, these 3 represented both hope and heartbreak. What happens if they don't eat? Kira asked, though she already knew the answer. Starvation protocols engage in 48 hours, Varen replied, his voice modulator struggling to convey emotion. Humane termination. The Council won't allow suffering. Kira had seen many strange things in her 5 years as humanity's xenobiological liaison to the galactic preservation front. Humans were the newest species to achieve faster than light travel, the cosmic equivalent of teenagers at an ancient council of elders. Most species viewed them with polite skepticism. Soft-skinned omnivores from a backwater world, barely past their nuclear adolescence. But Kira had learned something the galaxy hadn't quite grasped. Humans had spent millennia coexisting with predators, learning their languages, earning their trust. "Let me try something," she said. Varen's antennae twitched in what might have been surprise. "The Ashkari are Class 7 apex predators. Their bite pressure exceeds 2,000 kilopascals. Their venom can liquefy bone. Even juveniles, I understand the risks," Kira interrupted gently. "But I have an idea. Trust me?" The Zarkoth hesitated, compound eyes reflecting 1,000 tiny versions of Kira's determined face. Finally, his mandibles clicked in reluctant agreement. "Your species has a reputation for surviving impossible situations. Perhaps that extends to impossible solutions." 20 minutes later, Kira stood inside the habitat, the airlock hissing shut behind her. The 3 cubs immediately noticed her presence, their heads snapping toward her in unison. Even weakened, they moved with the fluid grace of natural-born killers. In her hands she carried a tray, not from the station's sterile dispensers, but from her own personal quarters. Grilled protein from earthstock chickens, fresh vegetables grown in the hydroponics bay, and a portion of the synthetic Ashkari meat that the cubs had been refusing. She sat down on the habitat floor cross-legged and placed the tray in front of her. Then she began to eat. The cubs watched, transfixed. Their forked tongues flickered, tasting the air. Kira took a bite of the chicken, chewing slowly, making small sounds of satisfaction. She tore a piece and set it on the edge of the tray, then took a small portion of the synthetic Ashkari meat and ate that too, suppressing a grimace at its chalky texture. The largest cub, she mentally named him Shadow, took a tentative step forward. Then another. Kira didn't look directly at him. In predator psychology, direct eye contact meant challenge. Instead, she continued eating, occasionally glancing at the food, then away, showing vulnerability, showing trust. Shadow crept closer, low to the ground, his 6 eyes fixed on the tray. When he was within striking distance, Kira did something that would have horrified the xenobiologists watching through the observation glass. She tore another piece of chicken and held it out in her bare hand. Shadow froze. His nostrils flared. Then, with aching slowness, he extended his neck and took the meat from her palm, his fangs grazing her skin without breaking it. He swallowed, paused, then reached forward and took a piece of the synthetic meat from the tray. The other 2 cubs emerged from their corner, emboldened by their siblings' courage. Soon all 3 were eating from the tray, their movement still cautious but increasingly confident. Kira continued to eat alongside them, maintaining the illusion, or perhaps the reality, that they were a pack sharing a meal. "Extraordinary," Varen whispered from the observation deck, surrounded by a crowd of xenobiologists who had gathered to watch. "She's triggered their social feeding response. Ashkari are solitary hunters as adults, but juveniles hunt and eat in family units. She's become pack, said Dr. Thelix, a reptilian neurologist. She's signaling that she's part of their pack. By eating the same food, by sharing vulnerable space, by making herself small and non-threatening while still being present, it's brilliant. It's insane, countered another scientist. One miscalculation but in the habitat something beautiful was happening. The smallest cub, emboldened by a full stomach, climbed partially into Kira's lap, its massive head resting against her leg as it continued to eat. Kira gently, carefully placed her hand on its scaled back, feeling the warmth beneath, the strong heartbeat. Shadow rumbled, a sound somewhere between a purr and a growl, and the other cubs responded in kind. Over the following weeks, Kira returned daily. Sometimes with food, sometimes just to sit with them. She taught them to eat from the dispensers by eating alongside them first. She played with them, wrestled with them, let them think they were hunting her through the habitat's artificial trees. The cubs thrived. Their scales regained their mirror sheen. Their eyes brightened. They grew stronger, faster, more confident. Varen watched it all with growing admiration. Your species has a saying, yes? About the way to a creature's heart? Kira smiled, scratching Shadow behind his auditory frills as he dozed beside her, through their stomach. But it's more than that. It's about showing up, being present, breaking bread together, or in this case, synthetic protein cubes. Humans domesticated the wolf, Varen mused. Perhaps this should not surprise us. We didn't domesticate them, Kira corrected gently. We befriended them. There's a difference. These three will never be pets, but maybe, just maybe, they'll remember that not all aliens are threats, that sharing a meal can bridge even the widest evolutionary gaps. As if in agreement, all three cubs began their evening rumble purr, the habitat filling with the sound of contentment. In the cold void of space, in a station dedicated to preserving life, a human sat among predators and shared their supper, and the galaxy took notes,